Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra.
Welcome to this edition of Market Mantra, in which we give you a complete update on the economic, business and stock market news of the day. I'm Arjun Chaudhary and with me is my co-anchor in Hindi, Vishal Sharma.
नमस्कार, मार्केट मंत्र में आप सभी का स्वागत है। आधे घंटे के इस कार्यक्रम में लाएंगे आप तक देश और दुनिया से आर्थिक, व्यापारिक और शेयर बाजार के ताजा समाचार, साथ ही उन पर चर्चा भी करेंगे। चर्चा के लिए आज स्टूडियो में आमंत्रित हैं वरिष्ठ आर्थिक पत्रकार सुषमा रामचंद्रन। सुषमा जी नमस्कार, कार्यक्रम में आपका स्वागत।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
सबसे पहले हेडलाइंस के साथ हैं अर्जुन चौधरी।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi distributes over 71,000 appointment letters to newly inducted recruits. Domestic stocks witnessed gains of around 0.5%. Sensex closes above 61,400 points. Nifty settles near 18,250 level. And Brent crude oil prices rise to $88.77 per barrel in intraday trade.
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने 71,000 से अधिक नवनियुक्त कर्मियों को नियुक्ति पत्र सौंपे। घरेलू शेयर बाजारों में करीब 0.5% की तेजी। सेंसेक्स 61,400 अंक से ऊपर हुआ बंद। निफ्टी 18,250 के स्तर के करीब पहुंचा और ब्रेंट कच्चे तेल की कीमतें बढ़कर $88.70 प्रति बैरल के आसपास रहीं।
In our top story, Prime Minister Narendra Modi today distributed over 71,000 appointment letters to newly inducted recruits through video conferencing at 45 locations across the country. The Prime Minister also launched the Karma Yogi Praram module. The module is an online orientation course for all new appointees. The module includes a code of conduct for government servants, workplace ethics, integrity and human resource policies. Through this module, appointees will get an opportunity to explore other courses on IGOT karmayogi.gov.in platform to enhance their knowledge, skills and competencies. Addressing the new appointees, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the government is working in mission mode to provide government jobs. He said several Rozgar Melas have been organized at various states and this campaign will continue in the future. Sushma, what is your take on the 71,000 appointment letters being handed over by the Honorable Prime Minister to the newly inducted recruits and the popularization of Rozgar Melas for government jobs?
I think this is bound to give a fillip to employment growth in the country because you have to remember that if it's 71,000 jobs, these are 71,000 families, so it's not just one person. The government has also made a commitment to provide 10 lakh jobs additionally. But I think one must remember that it is not just the responsibility of the government to provide jobs. It is great that the central government is recognizing that there are large number of vacancies in the government which have to be filled up, and hopefully the state governments will also do likewise. For instance, in the case of teachers, the system of contract teachers has been implemented simply because they don't have enough teachers, and in a hurry to hire them, they have started this system of hiring people on contract. And I think this needs to be done away with. You need to provide full-time employment to, especially in education sector. So that is, of course, the government. But as I said, the private sector is also responsible. As far as now we have so many infrastructure projects coming up, I think the estimates are that construction sector itself will provide a large number of jobs. At the same time, there are certain ills in the private sector which have crept in. One is in terms of, going in for contract employment rather than providing full-time employment. And this kind of contract employment does not provide all the benefits that full-time employment is given by corporates. And I think corporates are fully capable of providing the kind of benefits and remuneration that you should be given to full-time employees. So, more and more, if you see in automobile sector, for instance, a large number of employees have been made into contract. Again, this is also a chicken and egg thing. They are concerned over the fact that perhaps they are not able to hire and fire employees easily, and therefore they have gone in for this system. This is one of the reasons. But the government has now introduced a large number of reforms in the labor sector, which will enable them to change the level of their labor numbers accordingly. So I think this is something that needs to be looked at, certainly.
The Karma Yogi Praram module is an online orientation course, so one can access technical information regarding your subject matter, and it also includes a model code of conduct. So you have this double engine approach by the government, the center and state appointees, and there seems to be some uniformity in the formulation of this code of conduct. How important is this for those who are being inducted? And you also have the Prime Minister interacting with the new appointees.
Well, I think coming to your second part of it, I think the Prime Minister interacting with the new employees is certainly very important because, it is certainly a morale booster. If you see, the Prime Minister has also been doing things which have not taken place in the past. That is, interacting with people who have won athletics awards, and you find, for instance, various teams which have won awards abroad, and they have been meeting the Prime Minister. In the past also they have met Prime Ministers, but he has, done this in a more sustained fashion. And I think this also, meeting these people who are new inductees, is certainly going to be a morale booster. As for the model code of conduct, it's a wonderful thing. We have to remember that in the past also there has been a code of conduct for government employees, and I think more than the code of conduct, I think what is needed is for seniors in the government, that is bureaucrats and senior employees, to set an example. So it's not just enough to have a model code of conduct; it should be implemented in your lifestyle.
सुषमा जी, आपने निजी क्षेत्र की बात की, रोजगार देने में, रोजगार सृजन में, और हम सरकारी नौकरी की बात करें तो बहुत ही सीमित मात्रा में है और सीमित संख्या है सरकारी नौकरियों की। तो आपको लगता है कि निजी क्षेत्र जो है रोजगार देने के मामले में अभी तक क्या संतोषजनक उसका एक प्रदर्शन रहा है?
नहीं, संतोषजनक तो बिल्कुल नहीं है, क्योंकि जैसे मैंने कहा, ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एम्प्लॉयज की मैंने बात की, और वो कोशिश यही रहती है प्राइवेट निजी जो क्षेत्र में कि वो कम से कम एम्प्लॉयमेंट दे, और लेकिन उनकी भी कुछ कंस्ट्रेंट्स हैं। उनकी कंस्ट्रेंट्स ये हैं कि जो लेबर लॉज हैं उनके तहत उनको जो भी एम्प्लॉई आता है उनको उसके तहत उनको उतने रिम्यूनरेशन देना पड़ेगा, प्रोविडेंट फंड, ग्रेट्युटी वगैरह देना पड़ेगा। लेकिन ये सब छोड़ के मेरे ख्याल में प्राइवेट सेक्टर, निजी क्षेत्र को आगे आना पड़ेगा, और ये नहीं कि वो नहीं कर सकते, वो जरूर कर सकते हैं। और मॉडल कोड ऑफ कॉन्डक्ट अगर सरकारी नौकरी के लिए है तो मॉडल कोड ऑफ कॉन्डक्ट प्राइवेट सेक्टर के लिए क्यों नहीं है? वो उनको भी उनके लिए भी एथिक्स जरूरी है, कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस जरूरी है। तो जैसे आपने कहा, संतोषजनक मैं नहीं समझती। मेरे ख्याल में ज्यादा इनको भी ये जो नेशनल एंडेवर है इसके लिए उनको आना पड़ेगा।
एक बड़ी शिकायत निजी क्षेत्र की ये भी रहती थी कि युवाओं में कौशल नहीं है, हमारी जरूरत के हिसाब से युवा स्किल्ड नहीं है। लेकिन सरकार जिस स्तर पर कौशल विकास के लिए कार्यक्रम चला रही है, तो अब तो निजी क्षेत्र की ये शिकायत भी अब नहीं रहनी चाहिए।
नहीं, और दूसरी बात यह है कि निजी क्षेत्र खुद भी ट्रेनिंग कर सकता है। अभी अगर आप देखें तो बहुत सारी जो कंपनीज हैं वो अपना ही ट्रेनिंग स्कीम करते हैं। अब जैसे इंजीनियर्स को ही ले लो, तो इंजीनियर्स तो रीजनल इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज में बहुत अच्छे हमारे देश में इंजीनियर्स हैं, लेकिन हर जो कंपनी है उनको अपनी कंपनी में लेके उनको खास ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम देती है कि वो जिस तरह से उनको काम करवाना है वो करवाते हैं। तो ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम्स वो भी स्किलिंग में वो भी हिस्सा वो भी रोल कर सकते हैं।
जी, और अब रुख करते हैं शेयर बाजार का। वैश्विक शेयर बाजारों के मिले-जुले संकेतों के बीच आज प्रमुख घरेलू शेयर बाजारों में करीब 0.5% की तेजी रही। सेंसेक्स 61,400 अंक से ऊपर बंद हुआ, जबकि निफ्टी 18,250 के करीब पहुंच गया। बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का सेंसेक्स 274 अंक के उछाल से 0.45% बढ़कर 61,419 पर बंद हुआ। नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का निफ्टी भी 84 अंक की वृद्धि से 0.46% चढ़कर 18,244 पर पहुंच गया। व्यापक बाजार में बीएसई मिड कैप इंडेक्स में 0.48% की तेजी दर्ज हुई, जबकि स्मॉल कैप इंडेक्स 0.1% के नुकसान में रहा।
Sensex and Nifty today witnessed gains of around 0.5%. Both stock indices rose amid mixed cues from the global share markets. Sensex closed above 61,400 points, while Nifty settled near 18,250 level. Sensex climbed 274 points, a 0.45% to finish at 61,419. Nifty also appreciated by 84 points, a 0.46% to end at 18,244. In the broader market at the BSE, the mid-cap index gained 0.48%, while the small-cap index ended 0.1% down. In the Sensex pack, 25 companies posted gains, while 5 logged losses. IndusInd Bank was the top gainer as it added 2.6%, followed by NTPC, which climbed 1.6%. Ultratech Cement rose 1.4%. Titan gained 1.3%, and Infosys ended 1.2% up. On the other hand, Nestle India declined 0.8%, while Power Grid and Bharti Airtel fell 0.5% each. In the sectoral indices at the Bombay Stock Exchange, 15 out of the 20 sectors logged gains. Metal and IT sector indices gained 0.8% each. Tech, consumer durables and services sector indices rose 0.7% each. On the other side, realty, power and utility sectors declined 1%. Power, utilities and realty indices fell 1% each. The overall breadth of the BSE trade was negative as shares of 1,585 companies gained while 1,881 companies fell. Shares of 142 companies remained unchanged. Sushma, we saw a lot of action today in banking and metal. In metal index, what we saw was the government relaxing the duty norms for exports, which would help especially the steel companies improve their earnings in the future. But why is it that PSU banks are going up in valuation, especially now?
Well, I think as far as banking sector is concerned, one of the main reasons is that the financial situation as far as banking is concerned, both public sector and private sector, it has improved considerably over the last 2 to 3 years. The situation regarding NPAs has improved significantly. There was a time about probably 3 or 4 years ago when we were very concerned about NPAs and the situation of the banking sector. That scenario has completely reversed now, and you have a very, very low, relatively low level of NPAs, both in the public sector as well as in the private sector. And the outlook for banking is looking very bright. The government has also committed itself to privatization. They have identified 3 banks, I think Central Bank, Bank of Maharashtra and one other.
Indian Overseas Bank.
Indian Overseas Bank. And so though they have not yet moved, but there is a commitment that, and they have also been doing restructuring of the banking sector. So there is a commitment that we will try and trim down the sector. The idea is that there should ultimately be only a few large banks and to merge most of the smaller banks in the larger banking system. The idea is to make them more efficient and productive rather than to have a whole lot of small banks which are replicating the same work. So this is the intent of the government has been shown. They have done part of it. They have yet to do part of it. But definitely the financial health of the public sector banks is looking far better than it was. So therefore, the banking sector, if you see, for the last year or so, has been very much preferred, and the share values have been rising consistently.
We are seeing the DIIs being the net buyers in the market today to the tune of 636 crore rupees, and the FIIs were the net sellers to the tune of 697 crore rupees. This is also the FNO expiry for the week, and you also have FII action committed till the middle of December at least. So how would you look at their buying and selling patterns? You clearly have the DIIs as a fallback to the market progressively falling.
I think we need to look at DIIs not just as a fallback. I think they have been the strength of the market. They have been the spine rather of the market. And in fact, the fact that in between, of course, just recently you found FIIs coming back into the market for a brief period, and now once again they are selling. And I think some of the Indian investors are saying, for instance, that, why are foreign institutional investors, taking their money out at a time when valuations are so good here, and at a time when India, is kind of an outlier as far as the global economic scenario is concerned. Every other country is facing literally dire situation, and India is relatively in a much better, far more healthy state. So why are they doing the kind of, what shall I say, a sort of a stereotype kind of a response that is going back to where they are getting the higher returns temporarily, that is in the US. And the DIIs are showing their faith in the Indian economy, in the Indian system, and in the future of the Indian economy.
जी सुषमा जी, अगर आईटी सेक्टर की बात करें तो आज आईटी सेक्टर इंडिसेज में 0.8% की तेजी हम देख रहे हैं जी। क्या वजह आप इसकी मानती हैं, क्योंकि पिछले कुछ समय से हम देख रहे थे कि आईटी शेयरों में नरमी दिखाई दे रही थी।
देखिए, सबसे बड़ी चीज है कि जो रुपए की जो गिरावट आई है उससे आईटी क्षेत्र में बहुत फायदा हुआ है। जो सर्विसेज एक्सपोर्ट्स करते हैं और सर्विसेज, अब इसका जो अनुमान लगाया जा रहा है कि सर्विसेज एक्सपोर्ट्स काफी बढ़ेंगी इस साल, वैल्यू ऑफ सर्विसेज एक्सपोर्ट्स बहुत बढ़ेंगी क्योंकि रुपए की गिरावट आई है और वैल्यू ऑफ जो रिटर्न्स हैं वो ज्यादा होंगी। मर्चेंडाइज एक्सपोर्ट्स में इतना फायदा नहीं होगा एक्सपोर्टर्स को, क्योंकि उसमें जो बाकी काफी सारी जो एशियन कंट्रीज हैं उनके भी करेंसीज हैं वो डिप्रिशिएट हुई हैं, लेकिन यहाँ आईटी क्षेत्र में एकदम से बेनिफिट होगा और मेरे ख्याल इसी वजह से आईटी सेक्टर का आप देखें अप ट्रेंड।
जी, आपने रुपए की बात की तो आज रुपए के प्रदर्शन पर भी नजर डाल लेते हैं। विदेशी मुद्रा बाजार में रुपया आज डॉलर के मुकाबले 18 पैसे मजबूत होकर 81 रुपए 67 पैसे प्रति डॉलर के स्तर पर बंद हुआ। विश्व की 6 प्रमुख मुद्राओं की तुलना में डॉलर की मजबूती दर्शाने वाला डॉलर इंडेक्स 0.51% की गिरावट से 107.29 पर कारोबार कर रहा था।
Well, clearly the US dollar index has played a very important role in how emerging market currencies are being valued. But right now, the US dollar index is at 107.29, and we are seeing that the US dollar index is being range bound. At least it's 107.36 according to the market right now. How do you see emerging market currencies surviving in this scenario? Because earlier the dollar index was at 113, 114 and valuations are being very volatile.
I don't think it's a question of surviving. I think this is a scenario where, in a sense, one has gone through it at the time of the 2008 financial crisis, the Asian financial crisis, where Asian currencies crashed at that time also. This is a scenario where, the geopolitical situation is precarious. The response of the U.S. Fed Reserve is to push up interest rates. The dollar is obviously becoming stronger and stronger. And in response, there is a depreciation, not just of the rupee, because we look in India just at the rupee. As you rightly pointed out, this is the dollar index compared to 6 other leading currencies. These are all currencies which are falling behind, which are depreciating. So I think I don't think they're going to really lose out. But for the time being, till the geopolitical scenario remains as it is, until the time that the dollar is going to be strengthened. I mean, there is a bit of up and down, but the fact is the dollar remains very strong right now. And this is going to be a difficult situation for these currencies.
We're heading for a short commercial break. We'll be back with more on Market Mantra.
उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का सुलभ और सस्ता माध्यम है आकाशवाणी।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न केंद्रों से कीजिए अपने उत्पादों और सेवाओं का प्रचार विज्ञापनों के माध्यम से।
लोकल और राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर कीजिए अपने बिजनेस का विस्तार, क्योंकि आकाशवाणी में विज्ञापन बुकिंग हुई बहुत ही आसान।
अब घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे आप कर सकते हैं विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
डायल कीजिए 87000142 4242।
नंबर एक बार फिर नोट करें, 8700014242।
ब्रेक के बाद कार्यक्रम मार्केट मंत्र में आप सभी का फिर से स्वागत। रुक करते हैं अब वैश्विक शेयर बाजारों का। सबसे पहले एशियाई शेयर बाजारों की बात करें तो एशियाई शेयर बाजारों में आज कारोबार मिला जुला रहा। जापान का निकेई सूचकांक 0.6% चढ़ा। सिंगापुर का स्ट्रेट्स टाइम्स इंडेक्स 0.3% की बढ़त में रहा और चीन के शंघाई कंपोजिट इंडेक्स में 0.1% की मामूली बढ़त दर्ज हुई। वहीं दूसरी तरफ हांगकांग का हैंग सेंग 1.3% लुढ़क गया और दक्षिण कोरिया का कोस्पी 0.6% की गिरावट के साथ बंद हुआ। यूरोपीय शेयर बाजारों की बात करें तो अंतर्देशीय कारोबार में यहां तेजी का रुख था। लंदन का FTSE 100 0.8%, जर्मनी का डेक्स 0.1% और फ्रांस का कैक 0.3% की बढ़त के साथ कारोबार कर रहे थे।
Sushma, we're seeing that the Asian and the European markets are trading within a range. There are only minor corrections that we're seeing. Why is that the case? Is it because of low volumes or what is happening really in the Western Hemisphere, the onset of technical recession as they're calling it, and inflation, of course?
Well, I think, you have said it, the onset of technical recession and, this is a very volatile situation as far as the geopolitical scenario is concerned. So if you take Europe, for instance, Europe just now is still concerned with Ukraine. They are going to have volatility in their stock markets because they are facing energy shortages. They are facing the brunt. The US is far away. The brunt of the problem is being faced in Europe, where they are reliant on energy supplies, natural gas as well as oil, crude oil from Russia, and they are having problems in getting this natural gas, especially through the Nord Stream pipelines, and there are reports of sabotage and so on. Not only are there shortages, there are high prices. So this kind of volatility is going to remain, for instance, in Europe, because they are all these countries, whether it is Germany, which is close to the Ukraine, or even UK, which is a little further away, they're all facing energy shortages. So that's one thing. As far as Asian markets are concerned, Asian markets are affected by what is happening in China. Now, before this, till today, we were worried about the zero COVID policy affecting manufacturing. Everybody is worried that it will create further deepen recessionary conditions. Now the situation, the latest reports are that there are many COVID cases in Beijing. And this is what is worrying. This fresh round of infections in Beijing has caused concern, and I think that was one of the factors in the last 1 or 2 days that has caused volatility in stock markets. So, as you said, range bound because of volatility in the scenario. This is what it is going to be, I think.
So the UK has going through a very tough time as well, and the new Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has a challenge before him because inflation for the month of October was plus 11%. How do you see their free trade agreement working out with countries like India and, of course, handling the home front?
Well, as far as the free trade agreement with India is concerned, the deadline was Diwali initially. But then you cannot blame the UK because they had a change of government. Liz Truss was very, very keen on the FTA, and then there was a change of government. Sunak is also keen. At the same time, he has to cater to his domestic constituency, which is concerned about the fact that they're trying to relax.
Will they reverse Brexit?
I doubt it. Even Sunak was pro-Brexit. So, I think he's going to have to be a little more British than the British. So, I don't think India is going to get great benefit out of him being there. In fact, Liz Truss probably was more, and even Boris Johnson were really very pro-India, and they were the ones who pushed for the Indo-India FTA, the UK-India FTA. So we'll have to wait a little while longer. As far as dealing with the domestic situation, yes, Rishi Sunak has a tough situation, but he's already more or less reversed whatever his predecessor did. But at the same time, as you said, he is facing tough times. 11% inflation is nothing to be sneezed at.
जी सुषमा जी, अगर हम बात करें एशियाई अर्थव्यवस्थाओं की, सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था चीन की अर्थव्यवस्था है एशियाई। जब जिस तरीके से आपने बताया कि कोविड के मामले वहां बढ़ रहे हैं, फिर से संक्रमण बढ़ रहा है और लॉकडाउन्स भी लग रहे हैं, एक एक वैश्विक ग्लोबल एक हब माना जाता है मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का चीन।
बिल्कुल।
क्या असर आप देखती हैं और उभरती हुई अर्थव्यवस्थाओं पर इसका?
इसका असर तो बहुत होगा। आपकी बात बिल्कुल ठीक है। वो हब है पूरे विश्व के भर में। अगर आप देखें चीन से, हमारे देश में ही देख लीजिए, हमारी जो ट्रेड रिलेशनशिप है, हमारी इकोनॉमिक टाइज जो है बहुत डीप हैं। अब जब कोविड के टाइम में जब हमें दवाइयां चाहिए थी तो उनके जो फार्मास्यूटिकल इंग्रेडिएंट्स चाहिए थे वो वहां से आते हैं। जो हमारी काफी सारी जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोडक्ट्स की कंपोनेंट्स चाइना से आती हैं। तो ये अगर हमारे देश में है जहां से हमको इतना, हमारी जो अर्थव्यवस्था इतनी क्लोज नहीं है। अब बाकी देशों की बात की स्थिति देखिए, यूएस की जो इकोनॉमिक टाइज उनके बहुत ज्यादा हैं। तो बिल्कुल आपकी बात ठीक है। अगर वहां स्लो डाउन होता है तो पूरे ग्लोबली हमें तो ये रिसेशनरी कंडीशंस देखनी पड़ेंगी।
Let's have a look at the U.S. market now. Wall Street's main indices ended down yesterday on fears that China could resume stricter measures to fight COVID-19. The Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped 0.1%, the S&P 500 lost 0.4%, and the Nasdaq Composite Index declined 1.1%. Taking a cue from what you were saying and what my co-anchor asked, supply chain disruptions will continue, and that will add to inflation woes, especially to exporting countries from China to the U.S., and that would again have a ripple effect as well. To what extent is the recession in the U.S. being explained very briefly, because you have, Amazon founders saying that maybe consumers are better off not buying fridges and televisions, which I found strange because it's sold on his platform.
Yes, it's a very interesting thing. Yes. I think the situation in the U.S. is that we may call it a technical recession, but I think in terms of conditions, economic conditions, they are not badly off. If we had a recession in our country, our citizens would be far worse off. They would have, as you rightly pointed out, they're saying don't buy TVs and don't buy air conditioners, but they have enough to eat. They have enough, the basic essentials are still available in that country, even if you describe it as a technical recession. High prices are an area of concern, but I think in this country, what we term a recession would be far more disastrous for the poor people. So yes, it's a very different situation, recession there and recession in emerging economies.
Let's have a look at the oil market. In intraday trade, Brent crude was trading at $88.70 per barrel, while WTI crude prices were at $81.20 per barrel. We have OPEC Plus saying that we'll stick to supply cuts because they want to shore up prices. But globally, commodity valuations have come down on a per metric tonnage basis, including oil as well. Will oil prices continue to come down even though they've gone up?
Well, it looks like it. India will be happy if it comes down. I mean, coming down to yesterday, it came down to nearly $82, which was wonderful. But now it is back to $87. But even $87 is good enough for India, honestly. We were happy. We wanted it at about 75, but this is good enough for us.
और बात करते हैं कीमती धातुओं की। मल्टी कमोडिटी एक्सचेंज में सोने का दिसंबर वायदा भाव आज 160 रुपए बढ़कर 52,455 रुपए प्रति 10 ग्राम पर चल रहा था। दिसंबर अनुबंध वाली चांदी भी 800 रुपए की तेजी से 61,435 रुपए प्रति किलो के स्तर पर कारोबार कर रही थी। उधर न्यूयॉर्क मर्केंटाइल एक्सचेंज में सोना बढ़त के साथ $1,763.40 प्रति औंस और चांदी $21.45 प्रति औंस पर कारोबार कर रही थी।
Sushma, we've seen even in the global markets that the valuation of gold per troy ounce and silver per kilogram have gone up substantially from $17 to $22 right now, and for gold from $16 and $20 to $16.50.
Well, a very simple explanation. It's a safe haven asset, and this is the time of geopolitical crisis and emergencies, so people will rush to buy safe haven assets.
Well, thank you, Sushma, for being with us on this program, Market Mantra.
Thank you, Arjun.
And before we close, a reminder of the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi distributes over 71,000 appointment letters to newly inducted recruits. Domestic stocks witness gains of around 0.5%. Sensex closes about 61,400 points. Nifty settles near 18,250 level. And Brent crude oil prices rise to $88.77 per barrel in intraday trade. And that's it in this edition of Market Mantra. For now, goodbye.
Market Mantra. Market Mantra.